All right. Grand Rising. As we open up this space, we give thanks this morning to the Most High, to the ancestors, to the angels, and to the guides for meeting us in this most sacred, special place. This virtual sister circle has evolved into a beautiful space of sharing, of true sisterhood, and a space to release and to grow and to do it in our most authentic selves. We give thanks to the spiritual fire and our seats around it, and to those ancestors and guides that come and sit in and fill in the spaces and the places between us. We give thanks for the downloads that come to us and that start off our day and carry into the week, opening us up, experiencing new things, having new awarenesses in ourselves, accepting things that just the way they are, and then just providing us with a plethora of resources to draw from to just expand our knowledge and how we see the world and how we see ourselves and navigate through it, as well as to make conscious actions, concerted actions that are supportive of the life we desire and deserve. I just give thanks for each and every sister represented here today, their families, and I just give thanks for the energy that they bring to the space and share with us every Wednesday morning. So as we just give thanks as we open another session of our Wednesday morning prayer and meditation, we say Ashe, Ashe, and Ashe. Good morning, everyone. As we have the graphic up that was used on the invitation this morning, I give up freely what is no longer serving me, and I release it to create space for what inspires me. And we're still in the same vein of creating space, new spaces, and making space for things that we've never experienced before. And we do that by releasing those things that have expired, that are no longer supporting the direction that we are taking our lives. And we're releasing them, and we're releasing constantly. There's a purge that we're doing constantly as we continue to go deeper into ourselves and become more aware of ourselves, aware of our habits and our patterns and certain mindsets that keep us stagnant, or keep us in a loop where we continue to go back to those old places, trying to solve our problems with old methods and old mindsets. And we're just open to fresh, new spaces. And guess what? We can do that. We don't have to solve everything in the past that happened in the past. We can go forward and create new things. And we do that by being aware of how we're showing up. We're aware of how we're framing our lives, aware of our thoughts and our words. And really, it's an inside job. We look, when we want change, we usually look outside and try to figure out what's going on out there and how are we going to respond to that out there differently, as opposed to looking inside and saying, I'm going to show up differently. So no matter what happens on the outside of me, I'm going to be the master of me. And I'm going to create in me what I want to project onto the world. And in my case, it's patience, really understanding that no matter what goes on around me, I make the decisions as to how I want to participate, who I want to participate with, you know, and really being in integrity with myself, being honest about what I really feel, um, how I really show up. And when I'm bringing the funk to the party, I say that a lot. Sometimes, I'll be blaming the party for not being cool, but it's me coming with my funk. And I just am so grateful that I've been in a position to recognize that sometimes, Adashina, you ain't right. So you got to get it right first. So, in saying all that, is there anyone who wants to come on and express what they felt when they saw this? What did it drum up inside of you?
I'll share.
Okay.
When I read the invitation, I was thinking about, like, just recently I took I dropped the reins of creating and deliberately creating my space, and I just kind of let things happen as things happen. And when I saw the invitation, which I've heard this before, and I've heard you say it before, give up what's give up freely what is no longer serving me, but also deliberately creating is something that um I can't give up as well. And that's what I was thinking about when I saw this, because even if I give up creating, I would hand my life over to a thing that's not really serving me well. Like, it doesn't serve me well to even drop for a week, not creating my space and what I want and how I see myself. I don't know if you guys understand if I'm saying too many words, but what no longer serve me is to not be creating.
I get
You
it.
understand? You get it? You
I do.
understand? So what no longer serve me is just allowing life to be life, and not have the reins on my life to consistently be creating. And it brought me back to something I said, and I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna shut up because y'all know I'm wordy. Um, I went to this thing one time. I think it was a conference, and it was saying, this guy was up there and he was saying about, like, think of your life like an empty field, and you have to plan and deliberately cultivate that field. But if you for 1 minute don't do what's necessary, something else will cultivate. Even a empty field grow weeds when not attended.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that brought me back to that, like, whoa, I don't want no weeds. Let me get
Right.
let me get busy. Let me pick up these reins, because there's other stuff seeping in that's not serving me right now. I need to continue creating. Okay.
And it's so funny when you realize that nothing is permanent. So the things that you do tomorrow, I mean today, tomorrow is a different day, and how those things are showing up and realized in tomorrow is different from today. And so we're constantly evolving, we're constantly changing, and so our environment is constantly changing. It's not so much that we're actively doing things. It's just we realize that we create with every second. Every second we're making a decision, every word, every thought, every action, and that is creating or unfolding in front of us. And so that's why we're always saying, got to be mindful of your thoughts, got to be mindful of your words, because those turn into actions, and those all of that turns into your reality. So yes, being very intentional of what it is you are allowing into your space. What are you watching on TV? What do talk? What conversations are you having? Um, how much are you allowing yourself to be drawn into other people's, um, melodramas? How much are of your energy are you lending in situations? We do not watch the news in our house. We just do not. Yesterday, we tried to turn on. We were watching TV and we went across the news, and just it seemed like 2 minutes of the news, and we were both sitting there going, "Oh my God, no, this." And it was like we were already being lulled into this visceral feeling of how the news was making us feel. And I said, turn that thing off, because we do not allow that vibration into our home. It is disturbing, and it really sucks your energy, right? It just takes you into a space of worry and upset, and you know it just took from us. And so it was so evident that the news is something that we do not allow. It doesn't support what we want in our space, and that's peace, harmony, balance, um, wonderful communication. If there's something that we need to hear about, believe me, it'll make its way to us, but it won't be under the guise of this news that comes in and just brings worry and chaos, and it says the same thing over and over again. So yes, if you're not constantly aware, like you said, Angel, or working to put into place, or monitor what's in that place, things will grow. And next thing you know, you have a whole situation and you're not even sure how you got there. So thank you for that. Thank you. Who else? Anyone else want to come in and chime in on that?
I will. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Is this
This is
Debony?
this is Stephanie. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Good
Uh,
morning.
Sorry, I've got a new puppy, and we walk at this time in the morning, and so please excuse
Mhm.
if you hear this wind in the
Oh
background.
my goodness.
Cars passing by because that is what's going down.
No worries.
um,
No.
yeah, I so I've been going through a lot of really, really big changes um as of lately. It's been happening for the last couple of years, but things have been coming to head. And what the creator is showing me is how important it is to be quiet about things. Um,
Mhm.
in order to let go, I don't know, for me, I think one of the big things is wanting people to understand the way that I move. It's like a desire to be understood. But then with that desire comes a false expectation for people to um, understand it the way that I understand it, which is a trap, because expectations are not real. I have been
Mhm.
taking a lot of quiet time these past couple of months. I normally get very reflective in September because this is my birth month. And so this is
Mhm.
the time that I recreate new goals for the year. I look at what I've conquered, what I could work on, and decide how to move forward. And lately, I've been moving in this quiet understanding and not seeking out for validation because the truth is, those are just distractions and pulls of your energy. And while we may agree on ice cream today, noodles may not work
Mhm.
for tomorrow for
Mhm.
everyone.
Mhm.
But if I sit quietly in my kitchen and I enjoy my noodles because that's what I wanted, then
Mhm.
I can enjoy my noodles and I don't have to feel away or be considerate, or you know what I'm saying? And so it's letting go of the space of needing to be understood. And this is a new thing. And I am working on it actively. I have to remind myself and talk to myself constantly, because there is a part of me growing up in a broken home that is looking for a level of understanding. But the understanding is really, I just want everybody to understand. But the truth is, when you making moves for your purpose, and it may be something that has never been tapped on before, and so the people
Mhm.
around you, it's a foreign concept. And so while you trying to explain it, you're using your energy to give it out rather than execute the process. And so I am learning to get in the headspace of allowing whatever comes to come, but just allowing it to pass through, because we change every moment. Like, even you may get halfway through something and realize, oh, you know what, I gotta go left. Like, and you have to
Mhm.
follow that nudge of spirit, opposed to looking for, is this right? Like, I had went on this, I'm sorry, this is long-winded, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. I went on this 10 state um road trip a couple of years ago, and I said I was going to do it every year, but it wore me out. Okay, just me and my boys. And what I've realized, I got to the end of it, and I'm like, Spirit, why did you have me here? you know. And what
Mhm.
Spirit told me was that I needed to learn how to follow direction. And so all summer it was me and this GPS, but it was teaching me how to follow my internal dialogue and not so much
Mhm.
look on the outside. And it's something that has been coming back to my spirit lately, that you know what you were created for, you know what you came here to do, but you just got to do it, and you have to move stealth. And so that I'll end it there because I could keep going, but that has been my
Okay.
lesson lately.
Okay. So in your spaces, or your creative space, or the space that you created for yourself, in that you no longer are bringing the need for validation. In
Yeah, you're
this place, going to move
learning
free.
how to live without it, because we get addicted to
Yeah.
validation. It's like, oh yeah, and you know what I'm doing, and it's like, let that go. Like, why don't you use this energy to keep creating?
Okay.
And
I
so,
like it. Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you for
mhm,
sharing. Thank
absolutely.
you. Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to chime in on this? I know that we've been talking a lot about creating the space, and trying to visualize what we're going to have in that space, what we're going to open ourselves up to bring into that space, all the possibilities that could come into this new space. Is there anyone else who wants
Well, this
to chime?
this is Sherry. Good morning.
Good morning,
Um,
Sherry. Good
Good
morning.
morning. My thing is with reading the title for today's meditation, and then also watching Tamron Hall's show yesterday. Um,
Mhm.
said, "Free your mind, and the best will follow." Um,
Mhm. Oh.
it goes along with this here because I feel like I've been in my own way for the longest. And so in my mind, I'm telling myself that, and one side of my mind is saying, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. But the other side of my mind is like, yeah, but I think kind of like I mentioned last week and so
Mhm.
I'm learning to get the buts out of my head, if if
Mhm.
that makes sense. And so
Yes.
so that will help free my mind to be the creative person that I know I am and that I have been. So I'm just
Mhm.
getting butts. And that's all I
All
want.
right. I like that. That we get rid of that double-minded, the but, and that brings us back. You're right, to the topic of being in energy alignment, or being congruent with what it is that we are creating. If we're saying I'm going to run a marathon, but we're doing everything to sabotage ourselves from being in a space to run that marathon, then we are not energetically congruent with what we're creating. We're not we're not training, we're not eating right, we don't have the, but we're saying, I'm going to run that marathon. But you're not really supporting that. So, what is it that we can give up in that? We can give up a lot of the habits around that, maybe a lot of um, the trauma around completing things or really believing in yourself, the doubt. Um, Maybe some things happen that we're half suppressed inside of us that, made us think that, whenever we tried to do something big, it fell through. I mean, there's so many tethers that we have to um, past experiences, the feelings of it. I mean, we can, whenever we go to do something and it pulls a little bit on that tether, we just get thrown into this visceral um, reaction, and we don't even realize how we begin to plot down old habits that would prevent us from moving forward. And until we go in and we deal with those things that are deeply embedded in us in a time that we're consciously aware and ready to deal with it, they will continue to come up. The body has wisdom and it suppresses a lot of things when we're not able to deal with it right then, right? I'm going to say it again. The body naturally will suppress things that occur or our feelings or how we are really feeling about it. And we will put up this image of ourselves to get through it. But we have to go back and attend to that so we can remove it, or that drama gets stuck inside of us. And it becomes a way of how we look, it affects how we look at everything. And so that's why we do deeper healing work, we do shadow work, we do reflective work to create a space where we can boldly allow ourselves to sit with those issues that before were just so overwhelming. And we can sit there and we can decode it by feeling the feeling and letting it go, expressing ourselves to that and letting it go. And that kind of brings me to this, into this mind, and then we'll move on. But sometimes when we have faced a situation that's really difficult, like experience the transformation of a loved one, and we're in that grief, and there's a part of us that gets stuck in a space because we may feel that we didn't say what we wanted to say, or we didn't do the things that we wanted to do, or just didn't turn out perfectly like we wanted it to in our heads, in a way that we feel that we can allow that person to move on and still be okay. So we have a lot of energy around it, a lot of everything brings us to this emotional space around it, and it's so painful. And so that's why we use the medium of, you know, honoring our ancestors or going into a quiet space and creating a safe space to speak with that person who has transitioned, so that we can say the things that we want to say. We can feel the feelings. We can cry. We can, you know, get angry. We can laugh. We can do whatever again so that we can release whatever that is that's in our hearts, those regrets, and it really helps to bring us through that grieving process. But some people don't ever release that, and it's just like a heavy weight on their heart. And that grief just begins to personify and become bigger than the life that they're living. And they get lost in their pain and their anger, and they create stories around the assault of that transformation of that individual. And we see a lot of times people who have lost loved ones 20, 30 years ago, when that comes up, they just go into this funk. I lost my mom 20 years ago, and it's like today, and I can't get it up, because they've never allowed themselves to feel those feelings to become complete around it, and then to release it. And sometimes we don't want to do that because we feel like if we release that pain, that whatever it is on us, that we're releasing the love that we have for those people. But that's not it. It's the experience of the emotional connection and what grief does to you, that trauma, that abrupt change that creates a visceral impact in you, which is human, but we don't have to hold that in our body. And that's with any trauma that we have. And we've experienced something. We need to allow ourselves to feel it and then to release that out of our bodies, because it begins to become trapped energy, and it begins to color how we live and deal with life. Everything is colored with that situation. If you were lost as a child, anytime you turn a corner, you think, oh my God, I have to be mindful, or I don't want to get lost. If that was one of those things that really traumatized you, or quite honest, I don't know what happened to me as a child, but I hate to get separated in stores. And I get this visceral reaction when I can't see who I came into the store with, right? And that was something that I really needed to get to the bottom of. Like, why do I always go crazy when I get into the store? My husband could just be on the next aisle, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, where's he at? Am I making sense to anyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's some things that get trapped inside of us, and we don't want to bring those things into our new spaces. We want to deal with them. We want to release them so that we can have freedom and liberation to create without being harnessed with trapped energy, stagnant energy, those emotional ties. Well, thank you, Oshun. Those emotional ties. Not saying that our memories are precious, but memories are memories. It's not that traumatic, impactful thing that we're holding on to. And some of us hold on to that because we think that that's our strength. We think that's our loyalty to that thing or whatever happened. We think that if we let that go, then we'll forget and it might happen to us again. So there's a lot of reasons why we hold on to that emotional tether. But if you think about it, it's heavy. It colors how we view the world. It doesn't give us the freedom to create new, uncharted things because it's always colored with the past. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. And so I when I saw this, I freely give up what is no longer serving me. I release it to create space for what inspires me. We just been doing a lot of cleaning, and now it's the time to really open our minds and visualize what can we have? What can we be? We put on our beautiful glasses and what can we see? And I don't know what's on the other side. I don't know what's in the unknown. That's what's so beautiful. It's scary if I want to be in control. I want to be sure. So if there's a space that's unknown, of course it's like I don't know what's over there. But it's whatever I create over there. If I can get that understanding, because I created what was over here. Right? I am a powerful, creator. I am calling things to me, but I'm also holding on to things that are trying to get away from me. Does that make sense? What's no longer in alignment with me, it's trying to flee from me. But because I'm tethered to it and I don't know how to release it, or I don't think I want to release it, I'm holding it longer than it should be with me. But as soon as I freely give up those things that are no longer in alignment with me, and every day something pops up because every day I change, and so my alignment frequency is different. And so things are constantly falling off of me or wanting to demagnetize from me. As soon as I really get that understanding that it is within my grasp to create, we say I'm creating, but do we really understand the depth of that statement? And once that becomes clearer and clearer to us, we are mindful of what we allow into our space, what we give our attention to, how we're communicating with those that we love, how we're communicating with those that really have no bearing on whether the sky is blue or the grass is green. And we don't exert our energy on that. We really decide, is this something that I really want to deal with in my life? And why am I here? What is my loyalty to this? And is it supporting me? A lot of us, we stay on our jobs way too long. That job been trying to get away from us. And we be saying, oh, I can't stand this job. I can't stand this job. But we keep going to that job. And that job is doing everything in its power for us to let it go. But we stay there miserable, complaining about this job instead of knowing who we are and knowing that we have all these skills and abilities and we can apply for another job or we can do something different. And as soon as we come to that realization, what happens? Something opens up, another opportunity comes, and we're able to, and girl, I got this new job, or I got this new mind. I'm doing this new different thing. And that's in the past. Am I making sense to anyone? It's like it's a change, it's like the change in the mind. And all of a sudden you can see these other possibilities. But when you're just dwelling on how much you can't stand that job, and every day I got to get up and go to this job, and without this job, and you build stories around it, this job is my livelihood, and it makes this kind of money, and I got to go deal with these people. But all you're doing is cycling around the same situation with less energy would be to open yourself up to a new possibility and let that other thing go. Anybody have any comments on that? Anything that I'm saying?
I do. This is Debonique. I was having a conversation with one of my twins the other day, and he gets really mopey in these moods. And he was saying, Mommy, I'm not good at this. And I said, you're not good at it. And I said, do you have a desire to be good at it? And then he was like, yeah. And I said, well, then you got to change what you're saying. I said, you have what you say. And so if you want to believe that, you can't do it, then you will absolutely not be able to do it. But if you say, I want to learn, it changes that little change in that frequency. It opens you up to do something, the opportunity to do something different because you haven't closed the case, And so we talked about it for a while and he ended up getting it. But it's so important to know that you get to make up in your mind. So if you know that something is not good, if you say, oh, this job is dragging me down, it is absolutely dragging you down. And if you say, oh, yeah, I got this job and I feel light. That's what you're gonna go and do. Like your words have that much power in the direction that you move. And so you make sure that your word lines up with your action, which lines up with your movement, and so forth and so on. That was it.
That is true. And that's a practice, right? Because as human beings, we are hardwired to do the opposite. So once you get that epiphany that you are in control, it's a practice and you get better at it every day. You get better at it every decision, you get better at it. When you are aware of what it is that you're able to do. I was talking to one of the elders, and there's this myth or this fable that Black people could fly. And there's a whole book when Black people could fly. And I said, isn't it something? What if no one ever told us that we couldn't fly? What if you were never told that you could not fly? Then that possibility was never taken away. So if the possibility comes back into play, who knows? Right? It's like there's some things that we're just told, this is a definite, you cannot do this, or this is not possible. And once we buy into that, it's a challenge to rewire ourselves around that. And for some reason, as humans, we have a propensity to believe that we're limited in some spaces, in some areas. But the truth is, if we're spirit wrapped in this flesh, there's a lot more that we can do if we could release a lot of that information that's not true. Does that make sense? If we could shake it off, if we could slough it off, if we could somehow retrain our brain, rewire our thinking mechanism to not always go to the negative or to the can't or to the limitation and look towards the possibility. No matter what information we have to support it, look beyond that. What possibilities would be there? It doesn't matter what happened in the past. When I tried to walk down 3rd Street, there was a dog. So I no longer walk down 3rd Street because there was a dog and I don't want to get bit by the dogs. I only go down 4th Street. You have limited yourself on 3rd Street. Other people are walking on 3rd Street. But now that you have this extreme fear of dogs, you will not go down 3rd Street. So you don't know what 3rd Street has to offer you. You don't even know if you just stand at the corner of 3rd Street. You don't even, because you don't even go anywhere near it. You have limited yourself. I mean, that's pretty broad, but you know what I'm saying. So how do we get into that mindset of releasing, limiting ideas, limiting perspectives, fear, doubt, old stories, things that we were told, things that we have buried deep down inside of us, things that we saw, maybe that our minds couldn't comprehend or couldn't handle. How the personas that we've created for ourselves, that when things are uncomfortable, we burrow into this persona of who we are because we just want things to stop, or we just want them to pass over. We don't want to deal with it. We just want time to stop. And so we do that. Is there anybody who can relate to that?
I wanted to say something because this is what I'm hearing and I'm feeling it myself. Most of these things are internal things. And I think I can tie in this statement that I've been saying for the last month. Everybody can scream if you want to, but trust in ourselves with ourselves that we're gonna find the right spaces and the right interactions, the right learning for ourselves to deal with these internal things that only us know. And the thing about these things, like when you say we have suppressed these things, we have suppressed these things and they became muzzled down internally because maybe it wasn't time. But
Mhm.
in spaces like this, we could be vulnerable and we could speak out about those things. There's no judgment, there's no harshness, there's no competitiveness, it's only support in this space. And we can move on and start trying to bring some of these things that's been internal for so long out where we could deal with it. But I think on a daily basis, our most challenging things are internal, and we don't need anything external to the fact, but a safe space to work on these things when they come up and come out. So I don't know if
Mhm.
they got off the topic, but it felt like it was on topic.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And sometimes we do need just to reflect. So that's why journaling is so important. Writing your feelings down, writing where you are, free writing, just allowing those things to come out because sometimes you may not know how to phrase it or you may not have an outlet to speak it to. Um, of course, always prayer is a way to just
Yeah.
release that energy, but writing, doing some shadow work,
Mhm.
um, doing meditating.
Meditating. I was just
Mhm.
meditating. And I was gonna say what Dominique said earlier. Um, what she was saying about when we pray, and I wanted to say this then, but it's a window now. But when I first learned how to pray, it was from this lady, an older lady, and she said, we just rush through prayer and we pray to God all these things we want Him to do and da 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 da, but we don't never wait and be silent and hear the
Mhm.
response. And I'm like, what
Mhm.
response? What he finna do? Respond? Oh goodness, this
Mhm.
just got spooky. And she said, no, no, no. But we have to listen. We have to listen. And how we listen is at the end of a prayer or within meditation. And I
Mhm.
found it too. When I'm breathing, these breathing
Yeah.
exercises, it brings it when we take some of those breaths, it releases the heaviness off of me. And then I can
Mhm.
hear things and I can
Yes.
feel things that I didn't feel before I got that heaviness out.
Yes.
Um,
Ashe. Ashe.
Can it's funny when you were talking and you were talking about having a space to come to. In the Bible, they say iron sharpens iron, and when you have a space like this of people who are working on self, and we come together because sometimes, a lot of times, we feel alone in life, like, oh, I'm the only one
Mhm.
going through this. And it's nice to have a place of sisters that are strong enough to be able to hold space for you to open up and hear yourself, outside of
Oh yeah.
yourself, and even give
Oh yeah.
feedback because that is what sharpens us. And if we think about it, we are the only vision of God that we get to see. Like your season and your season together, it creates a beautiful blend, and you'd be surprised how many ways it can come together to show you versions of yourself, maybe parts of you that you haven't been living to your full potential. And the beautiful thing is, the more you do it, the more space there is to do it because it's the only thing that we
Mhm.
came to do.
Yes. Ashe. Or it
I
might show you
say.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. And I want to just piggyback on that. Or it may show you places where you are perfectly and totally in alignment with your purpose. You know, being in this space, it reveals both sides of the coin. It reveals, it allows us to be vulnerable enough to see how we're showing up, but it also allows us to be vulnerable enough to see how beautifully we are showing up. And I don't want us to forget that as we do all this work on ourselves to evolve and to transform and to go into different levels of ourselves. I don't want us to forget the things that are awesome and beautiful and loving and kind and flourishing. And just, let's not forget that, because it's easy to again to focus on what we need to attend to, and we lose those kind um, um, spaces for ourselves. So yes, Deb, that's true. And let's add on this. I believe that you are doing a wonderful, beautiful job, and I see your smile and I see your heart. And yes, we're all a work in progress, but each and every one of us on this call has a beautiful aura, has a beautiful um, contribution. And it's the beauty along with the strength. It's the love along with the being solid. You okay, Osho? She running in her sleep, y'all. Uh, that that we don't want to miss. So thank you for that. Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Debonique, for that contribution. Is there anyone else that wants to come in? Laretha, I see that you're unmuted. Did you want to say something this morning, sis?
Good morning. I've had a rough week. Been
Mm,
taking a lot
mm.
of medication. I don't know if my sister Lena shared with you guys that our mother, we had to take our mom to the hospital on Sunday.
Right.
And so we've been working on ourselves. And so this morning I overslept and I just said, Lord, I got to get to the prayer line. And for some reason, it always takes me time to get the right camera. So many Zoom cameras pop up, and so finally, I was able to get the right camera. I just wanted to say, the Lord is so good. He is
Mhm.
everlasting. His mercies is everlasting, and I am just so grateful. I'm just so full of gratitude. I want you guys to continue to be in prayer for my mom, for me and my sister Lena, as we take care of our mom and as we take care of ourselves. We just thanking the Lord for his will to be done. But I just wanted to say, and I'm not going to talk too long. I just wanted to say I started journeying,
Mm,
journeying a long time ago because
mhm.
I felt that I could write in this little book. I felt that no one understood me, but I could write it in the book and it wouldn't tell
Mhm.
anybody. So
Right.
I, I just wanted to share that has been healing for me to express myself in a little book. And I continue that. I've been continuing that. I've been doing that for years now. And I just wanted to
All
share.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I think I have some journals that I occasionally um, run across, and I began to read them, and I just began to realize how far I've come, right? What
Oh, yeah.
I saw some
Yeah.
stuff. Oh my gosh. You look at it like, man, I was really going through that, or wow, I made it through. And some of those things that I was journaling, man, I thought this is the end of me. I say that a lot because there were some times when I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be the end of me. And here I am to read about it and to give thanks to that. I'm not in that anymore. I may be facing some other challenges, but I'm not in those challenges anymore. And I actually did make it through. And it's it was impactful in a way that it's grown me and it's shown me who I am and what I have inside of me. But man, when you're going through it, you sometimes you're not that eloquent, you're not that logical. You just want to get through it. But journaling is such a beautiful way to go back and reflect on how far you come. All right. All right.
Mm.
Was there
I
anyone else who
want,
wants to go ahead?
can I say this before the next? Well, I was wanting to say that journaling is one way to bring those internal things out where they begin,
Mhm.
where they could begin to be dealt with. Meditation is another way to bring those inward things out so they begin to be dealt with. And then a safe space like this is another way to bring it out, where you are, because you feel supported, and everybody is here, sending each other good vibes, sharing knowledge. And I said this to Anna Sheena before some of you guys came on, and I just thank her for this safe space that we're able to bring all these internal things out and feel safe and not judged and supported. And we get information shared from all of us on this circle to each other so we can move on. But those things that are internal, they're not brought out until we journal, meditate, or actually speak it to be dealt with.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I felt that fit right then. So I'm on mute now.
Okay. Yeah. And one of the things that I wanted to just throw out there before we go into the prayer, because we're going to get into our prayer and then close the space, is it's helpful to have two journals. And I say that one journal is where you put those things that you want to release, your deepest, darkest things that you just want to vomit into that space. And then you have another journal that you journal what you're aspiring to, your dreams, your goals, those what you're creating. So you want to keep them in a separate journal, right? You want
What it mean if you have a bunch of journals? I got a bunch of.
to that's purely yours, but I'm just making a
Okay.
distinction between a journal of release and a journal of how I say inspiration. Does that make sense? One place um, where you let go, you you really. I like the way Laretha said that. This is my little book, and it's where I go, and I let that go, and it's just between me and that book and my creator. And then you have this other book that allows you to be free, and the energy is not tainted. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and make sure that our voices are heard this morning as we just lift them together in agreement and just go into prayer, giving thanks and honor to the Most High that is around us and through us, each and every one that connects us together. We just give thanks this morning for this space, for the topic, the conversation, for the awareness of releasing those things that no longer serve us, to freely let them go as they are trying to move away from us anyway, letting them go. And then allowing space for those things that are being drawn to us, that are in energetic alignment to us, to come freely, naturally, openly to us. Just having grace on ourselves as we go through each process in our life. Yes, we are a work in progress. We are in need of pruning and trimming. However, there's some beautiful, beautiful things that we just want to continue to be grateful for, that we offer, that we are comprised of. We are a bundle of love. We are a bundle of creativity. We are powerful. We are effective. We are impactful. We bring safety. We bring rooted and groundedness. We bring so much life and energy and smiles. We're full of knowledge and we're just capable. And I mean, there's so many words to describe just how majestic each and every one of us are. I just want to resonate in that. Just want to resonate as we just breathe into that thought. Just visualize just the grace and the phenomenal qualities that are just encapsulated in you. How you move through the world, the energy and the light that you bring, how no one is like you, your unique style, your smile, the way your eyes dance when you're excited. Just think about that. Concentrating on the beauty of who you are. We just give thanks as we recognize the abundance in and around our lives. Just give thanks for our ability to make sound decisions, and we have the power to monitor what we imbibe, what we ingest into our thoughts, into our bodies, into our space, into our auras. We have the right to create safe, soft spaces for ourselves. And we have the ability to come together and create beautiful, safe, sacred spaces to dwell in, where we can be our most authentic selves, where we can shed every version of ourselves that we created to survive. We can shed our insecurities, our fear. We can shed the competition. We can shed all of that and just sit around the fire in community with our sisters and laugh and dance and be in the presence of our ancestors and our guides and be in the loving protection of the Most High. Each and every one's energy is so valuable and so fulfilling in this space. Just imagine that white light around you. It's puffy, it's full, it's fluffy, it's comforting, it's fun. This is where we come to heal. This is where we come to hear ourselves. This is where we come to hold space for others to work it out. This is where we come to discover our joy again. This is where we come to lay our burdens down. Give thanks again for this opportunity as we pray for those who are yet in the midst of the struggle of awareness and acceptance, who are awakening internally, who are dealing with challenging, difficult spaces in their life and their journey, who are dealing with illness and dis-ease in their bodies, whose minds are confused and just sick with pain and traumatic residue, who have made agreements and pacts with their pain and their experiences and are afraid to let them go because they're afraid they don't know who they'll be on the other side of it without it. Cover them, surround them, encourage them, send a beacon of light and hope to them. Those who are stuck in overbearing, unrelenting addictions, whatever they may be, we know that you're right there with them, and they're going through a process. We pray for their reprieve, for their resolve, for their wholeness. Pray for those who are making difficult decisions, challenging decisions, that they would have the courage to show up in their most authentic selves, that they would shed who they think they should be, that they would shed the need to try to see into the future or to drag the past into that space, and that they would just be in the present, exactly in the present at this time, as they choose in this process. I give thanks again for each and every woman in this space. Let her mind be steady and calm, and let her heart be full. Clarity be present in her vision for her life and how she chooses to walk it. Open the knowledge to her power of transformation. Give her confidence in her thoughts, in her actions. Continue to let there be free flowing of resources in, through, and around her life. Move us from any connection to scarcity, lack. Remove that. Let us continue to open space for new possibilities. Oh, we're so grateful for everything that has manifested and we've been able to recognize and realize in this space. Some truths that we had to face about ourselves that grew us to the next level of ourselves. Continue to foster a sense of integrity in each and every one of us. as we move throughout the world. Even beautiful, powerful, magical energy. Is there anyone who wants to come into the space and pray? Please come on in. With that, we just give thanks again as we close this space. May we all be surrounded by the white light of love. May we continue to create beautiful experiences, first in our thoughts, and then seal them with our hearts. And we say Ashe, Ashe, and Ashe. Okay, ladies. Give thanks for another opportunity to come together. I'm going to turn off